phone today. Give us a holler. What's on your mind? 324-1420. I'm Robbie Watson. This is Talk Line, where it's all about you. Javers, what's up?
Robbie, love your show.
Thank you.
Well, you know what kind of bugs me is when people are hypocrites.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they, like Jesse Jackson. Jesse Jackson talks about family and being a good father and all that sort of thing, and how people should be married and have children while they're married and that sort of thing, and then he has all these illegitimate children, and it just bugs me when people are hypocrites like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he bugs me, and you've heard me say it time and time again. However, I said this is the one day out of the year that I happen to be, on the same side as Jesse Jackson. And, again, I was ready to say, what is he doing, taking a photo op? And I did say that, in fact, at the top of the show, that her family, the Schindlers, actually invited him to come there to the hospice. And while I certainly do not agree, I believe his credibility has been stripped a great deal. Many people do not hold him in this high esteem that he was several years ago, perhaps in the start of his civil rights career, because of the mistakes that he's made and the hypocrisy of it all. But today he's right on time, Javers. What's happening down there is immoral.
Well, what's he saying down there? Maybe I don't have to solve the whole story.
Okay, this is what he said. He went down, and family, the Schindlers, asked for him to come and pray with Terry, pray with them for a miracle. And he went, and Michael Shivo said, I think not, those were his words, quote, I think not, and he did not allow Jesse Jackson into the hospice, no real surprise. But then Jesse Jackson held a press conference, and he said that God can make things happen, and I'm quoting, prayer changes things. We're asking for God's intervention. We're praying for a miracle here. And, again, while I don't agree with his behavior and his political views, I do believe that what he's saying is absolutely right in this situation.
Yeah, but I mean, how much is it? Because what the behavior that you're talking about, like having illegitimate children and things like that. Because, and the other thing that bothers me is when talk radio hosts, get on, and then they have done the same thing. They've had illegitimate children or children out of wedlock and that sort of thing. And in fact, Robbie, I even heard that about you. And so that bothers me too. I mean, Jesse Jackson bothers me about a lot of things that he does. I heard that you had an illegitimate child as well, and that bothers me too, because when you criticize other people for doing that, it seems like you're being a hypocrite as well. And I appreciate you having me on the show and all that sort of thing, but I think if you're going to criticize people for their behavior, you want to tell them if your behavior has been the same in the past, and maybe differentiate why you're above it all and maybe they're not.
Well, let me be perfectly clear. I have never said I am above it all. I have said many times on the program, James, that I have skeletons in my closet. I believe I've phrased it that way before. And I've also talked about a very imperfect past many occasions. But what I've always noted is that it doesn't matter where you've been. And you can call me what you want. And as a matter of fact, I did have a daughter out of wedlock. I was not married when I had my first child. At least I chose to have her.
How can you criticize other people when you have that past, and I'm sure it's not the only thing.
What my message is,
other people and say that you're holier than thou when you've done the same thing. And there are many people out there who haven't done that. If you don't have a radio show, but do not judge other people that way, because only God can judge people. How can you judge people and make money off of that for whatever you're getting paid? To me, it's hypocritical.
Well,
I think you ought to stand right in the middle.
If you'll shut your mouth for a half a second and let me answer, then I'd be happy to answer the question. First of all, I don't know what happened to him. Did he hang up? He didn't hang up. Are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, well, first of all, Javers, I have never, not once on this program, said that I am holier than thou. Never have I portrayed myself to be that. I have always been candid about a past that I am not proud of. What I have said is my message to anybody listening is no matter what your mistakes in your past, there is always hope and there's always help. Let me tell you, I'm a perfect, classic example of that. And I don't know how any other way to say it. I've never portrayed myself as holier than thou, and that would be my message, believe me, to anybody listening. I've said that on countless occasions. So I don't know what part of the program you're picking up. My message is, you can always turn your life around. I've said it many times before. So, no, I've never said it here. And the other thing is, you just let me make my point. The other thing is I'm not going around wearing a caller saying I'm a Reverend Robbie Watson. I'm not calling myself a priest or a pastor and standing in a pulpit, Javers. I think there's a big difference when you call yourself a man of God and you're speaking on behalf of God and you go around and have illegitimate children. There's a big difference, okay?
Well, I don't know. Now, Robbie, I've listened to your program, and I have heard you over and over and over again invoke God and what God wants and doing the right thing in Jesus' name and so forth. And I don't criticize you for that. However, you don't have to be a minister or a reverend to invoke the name of God, and you do that when you criticize other people for the same things that you've done. And I want to know what gives you the right to invoke the name of God, whether you wear a collar or not, to somebody else. I mean, what makes you Jesse Jackson, for instance?
You're missing the point. You're missing the point. How
do you know that he hasn't asked for forgiveness and sought forgiveness
I'm certain that he has.
or the other people that you criticize?
I'm certain that he has. You clearly have an agenda here, Javers, and you've made your point. So
you don't have an agenda.
Whatever I say to you,
your agenda is to see the truth come out.
That's right. That is my agenda.
That's where you need to focus the show, I believe, because when you're blessed with having a show like you have, and you have a lot of people listening, which you have, and congratulations to you. It is important to be straight up with them, because if you're not straight up with them, if you're going to invoke the name of God, then you need to tell them everything that has happened in your past, so that you won't be looked at as a hypocrite. And I do think that it is hypocritical for you or for anybody, whether it's you or me or anybody, to criticize the behavior of other people when you yourself, in the case of, for instance, an illegitimate child, exhibited the exact same behavior yourself in the past. So, I just, if I were you, I would just be careful what you take issue with on this show, because in the end, as we all know, God is going to judge us all.
You got that right.
You've got to tell the truth.
You've got that right.
When people call in, you're the one that has all the power because you have the voice. And when you have a voice like that, you can't just say, well, just because the Republicans are right about something, and the Democrats are right about some things, and you know it, and I know it, and everybody does. So you just can't always take the right-wing position on everything just because that happens to be the popular thing to do.
Well, right now, my position on the Terry Schiavo case is clearly the unpopular take on it, as you've seen by every poll and everything you've ever seen on the TV. Most people are not for this woman living. So I would take issue with that. It is the unpopular. But I'll hang up and speak to what you are so concerned about. And that is my illegitimate child. I do appreciate you listening, though. Thank you very much. First of all, I think, Mr. Javers, if you happen to be, perhaps in my community, even in local radio, if you happen to be a nationally syndicated host, or, again, somebody in the public spotlight constantly, I think you do owe it. I don't think I owe it to anybody to tell you my personal biography. I think if my employers wanted to know my personal biography, sure. Is it okay to invoke God? It absolutely is, because it speaks to where I've been and where I am today. And that is my message, and that is why I invoke the name, because I see what changes have occurred in my own life, and I have always maintained that. Now, would I trade my daughter in for $1 million? Not in $1 million, $1 billion. And if the audience thinks I'm a hypocrite because I wasn't married when I had my first daughter, that'll be up to the listeners to decide. And clearly, you, sir, had an agenda calling this program. But what I'll submit to you is I am no less of a person. And again, I do use this radio program for that purpose on many occasions. So, should I not be, I wasn't married. Is there a difference between being a married preacher and having an illegitimate child? I think there's a difference there. But, listeners will have to be the judge. It's where I'm at today. And you also know, if you've listened to this program for any length of time, that I am an independent, and I do not always take the Republican side of the issues, as many of you know, because you call up and tell me I'm a liberal, bleeding heart liberal. But I'm guessing you were planted in the audience today. and, you know, you've had your say. So all of Columbus knows Robbie Watson had an illegitimate child. And, you know, if that makes me less of a person in your mind, I guess that's your problem.